The risk of it now is it's not a game you want to play.
On Melbourne's southwestern outskirts, Adrian Goddard is getting ready for work as a forklift operator. It's a job that pays the bills. But every day he regrets losing his life savings trading foreign currencies.
I feel I've let myself down, and I feel I've let my daughters down.
It started in 2019 when Adrian was scrolling through social media and saw an ad endorsed by a celebrity about investing in Bitcoin.
Hi Adrian, my name is Daniel. I am calling you from TradeFred on behalf of the Bitcoin trader. How are you?
The caller is from an Australian company called TradeFred. He quickly shifts the conversation away from Bitcoin to making money trading foreign currencies.
They would basically tell me what to do, tell me what to trade on. And I kept saying to them, like, I've got no idea what I'm doing here.
I think that clients appear to be lured into using this platform under completely false pretenses. And according to what ASIC has alleged, they were misinformed.
Adrian claims TradeFred got him to install remote access software on his computer so they could monitor what was happening on his screen and direct his trades.
Okay, let's get on Team Viewer, and you can open some pending orders.
This type of software is usually used to fix tech issues, but is open to abuse.
They scroll around with their mouse and show you what they generally wanted you to do.
I'd rather learn slowly.
Of course.
Rather than being thrown into what I'm looking at now, because
Adrian began expressing concern about the risks to TradeFred, but on this call is pushed to keep going.
Okay.
No, but what I'm saying is I'm not an expert in trade.
No, you don't have to be. That's the beautiful thing, all right?
He was trading in a high-risk area known as contracts for difference, where you speculate on movements in foreign exchange rates. The loss or gain depends on the price when the contract starts and ends, and if the price moves against you, it can result in heavy losses.
They have it all worked out to the T in terms of how they're going to play with someone's psychology and how they're going to entice them to keep on investing this money.
Adrian estimates having spent more than $130,000 with TradeFred, and mounting losses left him feeling out of control.
Devastating. Absolutely panicked about what was going on.
Hey Adrian, how are you? Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Come through.
No worries.
Come through.
Oh, right.
Adrian is seeing financial counsellor Rachna Bowman to help him get his finances back on track.
What is the avenue to look at getting this money?
After reviewing his bank records, she believes Adrian's spending habits changed dramatically under the pressure from TradeFred.
So let's just look at doing something. You can just see the transaction pattern completely change. You can see huge amounts of money going in from the transaction account into the credit card, and then that money is then used to pay off TradeFred.
There's a bigger jump.
In Queensland, retired grandfather Jeff Moody also responded to a social media ad for cryptocurrency. He then downloaded the remote access software and began trading under direct instruction.
They're able to change my thought pattern. What ideas did you have?
The trading results were disastrous. Jeff estimates having lost almost $85,000.
It had a huge impact. I'm not a millionaire, I'm just the average Joe on the street, and that sort of money has had a devastating effect on the family.
Jeff, this is one of your TradeFred phone calls where you're upset after a big loss. Can we have a listen?
Yeah, sure, no problem.
So how do I get out of this? How do I get out of this situation? I can't see any way out of it. In total, we lost $100,000 of our own money in the last trade. 100,000.
I was absolutely flabbergasted. You could probably hear that in my voice. I just didn't know what to do. I was worried. I was panicking because I'd lost so much money on it. It was scary.
The sales calls to customers were outsourced to a company based in Israel. The company, Capital Unit Media, operated from this Tel Aviv office block. However, when 730 went there, the building appeared empty.
Hello?
Shalom.
730 rang Alex Mishev, the man who ran Capital Unit.
Is this Alex?
He answered but hung up and hasn't returned our calls since.
USGFX is a time-honoured online forex broker, which occupies an important place in Australia.
What Adrian didn't know was TradeFred was acting on behalf of a controversial Australian company called Union Standard International Group. Union Standard is under investigation by liquidators after it collapsed with hundreds of millions of dollars owing to overseas investors, and they have serious doubts about the true identity of a Burmese man believed to be its ultimate owner.
Yeah, the links between TradeFred and Union Standard seem to run pretty deep. TradeFred was operating under a financial services license of Union Standard, for one. They share a common director. We don't know who is behind Union Standard. On paper, there's a Burmese individual. We don't know if this person truly exists.
Jason Ward has examined the ownership structures of TradeFred and Union Standard. He believes there's a lack of transparency over who ultimately benefits, which shows the urgent need for a beneficial ownership register, something currently being considered by the Albanese government.
Australia is far behind in global standards in terms of public beneficial ownership information. So you have to know who's behind it. And right now we have no clue because we do not have a public beneficial ownership register.
In December 2019, ASIC froze TradeFred's bank accounts, eventually leading to its collapse. But for customers, the nightmare didn't end there. Jeff Moody received a concerning email warning his details could be in the hands of scammers.
I was blown away when I received it, I really was.
After Adrian made repeated complaints, his TradeFred losses were refunded. But in April 2020, he claims he received an unsolicited call from another company called EverFX, who told him they were taking over TradeFred's clients and would treat him far better.
Well, it's deeply disturbing. I mean, that they may have actually sold the private and personal data of their clients to third parties. And this appears to be another example where people's personal private data may have been sold for profit.
The company disputes this, saying it has no association with TradeFred, and Adrian must have seen its high-profile marketing.
The phone call that I got, I am basically representing EverFX, formerly known as TradeFred.
Adrian would eventually lose more than $50,000 trading with EverFX.
The more I kept trying to trust in people, the more I lost.
You know, where was the role of the regulator to step in and put a stop on things that were happening? It just continued on and on and on till there was no money left in the pot.
The corporate regulator ASIC is suing over TradeFred's conduct. ASIC alleges account managers were using remote access software so they could see how much money customers had and show the customers what trades they should place. ASIC claims TradeFred was taking the opposite position on trades to most of its customers. So TradeFred was making money when its customers were losing and was therefore incentivised to have them keep losing.
I'm just aghast at that. I thought, what, I'm losing all my money and somebody else is winning on my loss, and that to me hurts.
Former customers fear there's little chance of getting their money back and question why it took so long for the regulator to intervene against TradeFred.
People are reactive, not proactive. People should have seen this sort of stuff coming.
For Adrian Goddard, TradeFred's impact has been devastating. His modest dream of buying a small property has been crushed.
For me, the money meant an opportunity to buy a house for myself and have something to leave for my kids in the future.